Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're doing another alternate election video. As you can see here, the 1972 election, well, you can't really tell, you just see names in the map. But we're doing the 1972 alternate election this time. This is a video I did on the Chaotic Central channel back 2 or 3 years ago, back when that was my only channel. And I decided, screw it, I didn't like it, wasn't comfortable with it, let's do it again. And so, as you can see here, I have all these safe states labeled, and I have all the safe blue, safe red. Reagan has 247 safe electoral votes. Robert Kennedy has 27 safe electoral votes. Now, some backstory into this election: Ronald Reagan is I think he's the term-limited governor of California. I could be wrong. I think he's term-limited. No, he's not term-limited. They didn't start doing term limits until after Jerry Brown. So Reagan is the incumbent governor of California, and he selects the incumbent governor of Michigan, George Romney, the father of Mitt Romney, as his running mate, going up against who I have as the president of the United States, Robert Kennedy, who would have been elected back in 1968, defeating Richard Nixon narrowly. And he selected, at the time, Washington Senator Henry Jackson as his running mate. Excuse me, I'm getting the hiccups, or the burps. And so, as you can see, there aren't that many safe states for Kennedy. 1972 was a red wave year. That's mostly due to the how low the national turnout was. Nixon was super unpopular. George McGovern was super unpopular because he got the socialist label slapped on him. And I'm pretty sure, and he called himself a liberal, so that didn't help his cases either. And back then, liberal was a naughty word, a very naughty word. And now we're going to start filling out this map. As you can see, Reagan is seemingly ahead right now, by a lot. But let's start filling out the states. Washington. Let's start filling out the likely states. I think North Dakota is a likely Republican state. These are the states that were typically battlegrounds back in the day. So I think Reagan would probably do well in these small states. Neoconservatism very popular in these smaller states. He probably wins Nevada by a likely margin as well. South Dakota was a lot more blue back then. This was George McGovern's home state, and he barely lost it. I think he lost it by 3 points. Sorry about that, guys. Going on to other likely Republican states. That is them all. Now let's take a look at some likely blue states. I do think that Illinois would be likely. It wasn't a solid Democrat state yet by this point, though it was getting there very slowly. And it would have been a solid Republican state by, I would assume, 1980, if things would have continued. But again, Reagan showed up and kind of halted its trend to the left with his popularity and landslide victories. So there is that. Wisconsin probably is also a likely D. Reagan and neoconservatism isn't popular in the Rust Belt, never has, never was. Well, technically, I can't claim that. The only reason why Reagan was able to win the Rust Belt was because of the whole Carter thing. And I think it's fair to say neoconservatism in general, but I don't consider Reagan to be a neoconservative. He was his own type of Republican. I like how Trumpism isn't the same thing as America Firstism. Reaganism and neoconservatism are two completely different things, and if you want my humble opinion. Probably New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, probably all will go likely Democrat. I forgot to put Maine, and Maine's first as safe D, while Maine's second is likely. My mistake. Those are the likely states. Reagan's at 253 electoral votes to Robert Kennedy's 97, so it's not looking too great. That's not it. Let's make the map all nice and pretty. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Now let's start filling out the lean Republican states. Sorry about that, guys. My cat decided to jump on my computer for some reason. She was being chased by my dog, Dante. That was nice. Back to what I was saying, lean Republican states. I think Montana and New Mexico are both lean states. Again, these are states that were trending red. New Mexico a lot slower than Montana. I think Reagan would probably win these states. The state of the economy, I think the economy would be pretty well. I think Kennedy would be on par with Nixon when it comes to the economy as well as social issues. I think we'd still see the EPA under a Kennedy administration or a Robert Kennedy administration. That's just my humble opinion. South Dakota as well, again, one of the more, kind of an oddball out of the plain states, as it was the most liberal out of the states, most competitive for Republicans to win, so Reagan would probably win that by a lean margin. And Michigan, Romney would probably help good old Reagan in Michigan. Without him, I think Kennedy would probably win it by a likely margin. But Romney was very popular in the state of Michigan, so Reagan probably ends up winning Michigan by a lean margin, probably 2 or 3 points. So when that gets him over the edge or over the top, and he is the winner of this election, Reagan will defeat Robert Kennedy. And that is all the lean states for Ronald Reagan. And the lean Democrat states, Oregon goes lean Kennedy. Kennedy probably it was probably close proximity to that should be likely. I'm sorry, but Washington State should be likely because of Henry Jackson. I'm sorry, but due to close proximity with Washington, Oregon would go to Kennedy. But again, close proximity to California, Reagan's going to make it competitive. And Oregon is typically a blue state. It typically votes more Democrat than Republican, even when the whole liberal conservative thing was flipped for, the whole for the parties in, I guess, FDR is the one who caused that. I could be wrong. Or Reagan. Reagan could have caused it too. I'm not 100% sure. I think, the rest of the Northeast, including Vermont, will go lean as well. Vermont was a heavy Republican state for years, but I think Kennedy, with his proximity to Massachusetts, could absolutely give him the state of Vermont. I also think that New York will go blue in this case, as well as Pennsylvania by a lean margin. And this is going to be my hot take. I think Kennedy would have won West Virginia. It would have been very close. Pretty much sweeps West Virginia and all the way up to the Northeast, with New Hampshire being the only double-digit Reagan state. That should be likely, or not safe, but Reagan would probably win New Hampshire by 7 points. It was actually more red than Vermont, actually. Even though Vermont has a streak of voting red, New Hampshire was typically a more red state than Vermont, if you look at the margins. And now we have 3 states, all of which will be tilt states. I do think Reagan would narrowly win Ohio, just barely. It was the battleground state as well as Missouri. And I do think Reagan would narrowly win Missouri as well. A traditional battleground state typically votes with the winner along with Ohio, but I do think Kennedy would win Iowa, as the Rust Belt in general was trending blue during this time. And so here's the final map. Ronald Reagan wins 323 electoral votes to Robert Kennedy's 210 electoral votes. We're missing a state. Hawaii, how could I forget? This is another hot take. I think Reagan would have won Hawaii by a lean margin. That's another hot take. So 327 to 210. How did you like this video, guys? Did you enjoy it? Go follow my Twitter at Chaotic Politics. This is the Chaotic One saying, peace.